The quantum arrays at Earth's lunar observatory hummed with an unusual frequency as Dr. Talon Frost adjusted the calibration settings. His dark eyes reflected the holographic displays floating before him, each one showing increasingly concerning data patterns. The signal had appeared 3 days ago, a subtle distortion in spacetime that most would have missed. But Talon wasn't most people. "Commander Blackwood needs to see this," he muttered, his fingers flying across the haptic interface. The signal's pattern was unlike anything humanity had encountered in their centuries of space exploration. It carried an intelligence, a purpose that made his skin crawl. Commander Juniper Blackwood arrived within the hour, her commanding presence filling the observatory's main chamber. Her silver-streaked black hair was pulled back in a tight braid, and her Earth Defense Force uniform bore the battle scars of countless simulations and field exercises. "This better be important, Dr. Frost," she said, though her tone suggested she already knew it was. "The Defense Council is breathing down my neck about resource allocation." Talon brought up a three-dimensional visualization of the signal pattern. "It's not just important, Commander. It's everything we've been preparing for." He manipulated the display, showing how the signal penetrated multiple layers of spacetime. "This isn't random cosmic noise. It's a message, encoded in quantum frequencies that shouldn't even be possible with current technology." Juniper's expression darkened as she studied the patterns. "How long?" "The signal is old, centuries old. But it's only becoming visible now because something is amplifying it." Talon pulled up another display, this one showing a map of similar distortions appearing across the solar system. "They've been watching us, Commander. Waiting. And now they're moving." The commander's hand unconsciously moved to the particle pistol at her hip. "You're certain it's not natural?" "The pattern carries markers we've seen before, in the ancient ruins on Mars, in the quantum artifacts we've discovered in the Kuiper Belt. This is the technology of the Nexian Empire." Talon's voice dropped to a near whisper. "And if I'm reading this correctly, they're not just watching anymore. They're coming." Juniper activated her neural link, connecting directly to Earth Defense Command. "This is Commander Blackwood. Initiate Protocol Omega. Authorization Code, Sierra 9 Echo 7. She turned to Talon. "How much time do we have?" Before he could answer, the observatory's emergency systems flared to life. Through the reinforced windows, they watched as a massive shape emerged from the darkness beyond Luna's horizon. The vessel was unlike anything in humanity's arsenal, a city-sized construct of impossible geometries and dark metal that seemed to absorb light itself. "That's not their invasion fleet," Talon said, his voice steady despite his racing heart. "That's just their scout." Across Earth and its colonies, defense systems activated. In her Tokyo office, Ambassador Kestrel Dawn received the emergency alert just as her quantum communicator detected an incoming transmission from deep space. In the underground facilities of Nova Base, Sentinel Raven Steele and her special operations team began loading experimental weapons designed for a war humanity had hoped would never come. The signal that had haunted humanity's dreams for centuries was finally being answered. As Commander Blackwood stared at the alien vessel through the observatory windows, she knew that everything would change. The silent storm that had been brewing since humanity first looked to the stars was about to break. "Dr. Frost," she said, her voice carrying the weight of command, "I need everything you can give me about their capabilities. And I need it yesterday." She activated her neural link again. "This is Commander Blackwood to all Earth Defense Force units. This is not a drill. I repeat, this is not a drill. The storm is here." In the depths of space, more quantum distortions began to appear. The Nexian Empire had decided that humanity's time of isolation was over. The question now was whether Earth's defenders could unravel centuries of alien planning before the full might of the invasion force arrived. The silent storm was about to become a tempest, and humanity's future hung in the balance. Ambassador Kestrel Dawn stood before the emergency session of the United Earth Council, her diplomatic uniform pristine despite the chaos unfolding around the world. The quantum communicator in her hand held the first direct message from the Nexian Empire, and its contents had chilled her to the bone. "They're not here to negotiate," she announced to the assembled leaders. "This is an ultimatum. The Nexians claim ancestral rights to our solar system. They're demanding immediate surrender and integration into their empire." The chamber erupted in voices, but a sudden tremor silenced them all. Above the major cities of Earth, massive Nexian warships had begun appearing, their quantum drives tearing holes in reality itself. In orbit, Commander Juniper Blackwood watched from the bridge of the EDF flagship Resilient as the first shots of the war were fired. The Nexians targeted Earth's orbital defense platforms with precision strikes, their weapons operating on principles that defied conventional physics. "Status report," she demanded, watching as human ships moved to intercept. "Multiple defense installations hit, Commander," her tactical officer reported. "But Dr. Frost's quantum shielding is holding on our primary facilities." The Nexians didn't expect that. In the depths of Nova Base, Sentinel Raven Steele led her team through final preparations. The experimental quantum rifles they carried had been rushed into production based on Dr. Frost's research, their power cores pulsing with an eerie blue light. "Remember your training," she told her squad as they boarded their stealth shuttle. "We're not here to win the war today. We just need to prove they can bleed." The shuttle lifted off, its quantum cloaking system making it virtually invisible. Their target, a Nexian command ship hovering over the ruins of Singapore's defense center. Meanwhile, in the streets below, civilian resistance was already taking shape. Meredith Quinn, a former quantum systems engineer, organized survivors into groups, using her knowledge of urban infrastructure to establish safe zones protected by salvage defense technology. "They think they know everything about us," she told her growing band of followers. "But humanity's greatest strength has always been our ability to surprise." Back in lunar orbit, Dr. Frost worked frantically in his lab, analyzing data from the ongoing battles. Each Nexian attack revealed more about their technology, and a pattern was emerging that he couldn't quite believe. "Commander," he called Juniper over their secure channel. "Their quantum signatures, they're not completely alien. There are elements that match our own quantum research. It's like they've been guiding our technological development. Leading us somewhere." The commander's response was cut short as another wave of Nexian ships emerged from quantum space. But this time, something was different. The new vessels moved erratically, as if their crews were in conflict. Ambassador Dawn noticed it too. Her quantum communicator picked up fragments of internal Nexian communications. "They're arguing," she realized. "There's dissent in their ranks about this invasion." On her stealth mission, Sentinel Steele's team had reached the Nexian command ship. As they breached the hull using quantum-charged explosives, they encountered their first Nexians face to face. The aliens were tall, their bodies covered in what looked like living metal, but their eyes were disturbingly human. "Command, this is Sentinel Steele," she whispered into her comm, "you need to see this. The ship's interior, it's covered in symbols. The same symbols we found in the Mars ruins. But they're not Nexian. They're older. Much older." Professor Sage Winter, monitoring the mission from his xenobiology lab, began cross-referencing the symbols with his database. "The patterns match pre-human artifacts found across Earth," he reported. "These aren't just invasion ships. They're searching for something." As dawn broke over a changed Earth, humanity began to realize that this war wasn't what it seemed. The Nexians hadn't come just to conquer, they had come to reclaim something. Something that connected their civilization to humanity's own forgotten past. Commander Blackwood ordered the Resilient to hold position between Earth and the largest Nexian fleet concentration. "Whatever they're looking for," she declared, "whatever connection we might share, they don't get to come here and take it by force. Humanity doesn't bow to ultimatums, not even from our own past." The breaking dawn illuminated a world transformed by conflict, but also a humanity united in defiance. As Meredith Quinn's resistance network spread, as Sentinel Steele's team gathered intelligence, as Dr. Frost unraveled quantum mysteries, and as Ambassador Dawn sought diplomatic openings, one thing became clear: the Nexians had seriously underestimated human resilience. And that mistake was about to cost them dearly. Dr. Talon Frost hadn't slept in 3 days, but the quantum equations floating before him held too many secrets to allow rest. In his laboratory beneath the lunar surface, he'd finally isolated the pattern that had been haunting him since the invasion began. The frequencies aren't just similar, he muttered, his hands trembling as he manipulated the holographic data. They're complementary. Our quantum technology and theirs, they're two halves of the same whole. The realization hit him like a physical force. He immediately contacted both Commander Blackwood and Professor Winter. It's not about territory or resources, he explained, watching their faces on the quantum feed. The Nexians' technology is incomplete. And so is ours. But together. Professor Winter's response came from his makeshift laboratory in the resistance tunnels beneath Paris. The biological samples confirm it, he said, sharing his findings. The Nexians aren't just similar to humans, they're engineered. And if my analysis is correct, so are we. On the bridge of the Resilient, Commander Blackwood received their transmission with growing concern. The battle for Earth's orbit had reached a stalemate, with both sides' quantum weapons proving equally matched. Now she understood why. Someone created both our species, she said, the weight of history pressing down on her shoulders. And they left their technology split between us. In the wreckage of Singapore, Sentinel Steele's team made their own discovery. The Nexian command ship they'd infiltrated contained a quantum archive, a repository of their species' history. As they downloaded its contents, they found references to an ancient race called the Architects. The Architects seeded both Earth and the Nexian homeworld, Steele reported back. They split their knowledge between us. The Nexians got quantum propulsion and energy manipulation. We got quantum computing and shield harmonics. Meanwhile, Ambassador Dawn found herself in an unprecedented situation. A group of Nexian dissidents had made contact through quantum channels, led by a commander named Voran who opposed the invasion. Our leaders believe that reunifying the technologies by force is the only way forward, Voran explained through the quantum link. But there are many of us who see the madness in this approach. We should be collaborating, not conquering. Meredith Quinn's resistance network proved crucial in establishing secure channels between human forces and the Nexian dissidents. Her background in quantum systems helped bridge the technological gap, allowing for covert communication and coordination. The Architects didn't split their technology as a punishment, she realized, studying the combined data. They did it to force us to work together when we finally found each other. This was always meant to be a collaboration, not a conquest. Deep in his lunar lab, Dr. Frost made the breakthrough they'd been waiting for. By analyzing the quantum frequencies of both human and Nexian technology, he discovered a third signature, one that pointed to something hidden in Earth's solar system. There's another piece to this puzzle, he reported to Commander Blackwood. The Architects left something behind. A quantum forge, a device capable of combining and advancing both our technologies. But its location is encoded in a way that requires both human and Nexian quantum systems to decrypt. Professor Winter added his own discovery to the growing picture. The biological markers in both our species, they're not just similar. They're evolving. Converging. As if we were meant to become something new together. The implications shook the foundations of both civilizations. Among the Nexian fleet, more ships began breaking away from the main invasion force, joining Voran's growing rebellion. On Earth, Meredith's resistance networks transformed into cooperation centers, where humans and sympathetic Nexians began working together to understand their shared heritage. But the Nexian Empire's leadership remained committed to their course of conquest. Their supreme commander, Zorax, issued orders to escalate the attack, refusing to acknowledge the mounting evidence of their species-connected destiny. Commander Blackwood knew they were running out of time. If we're going to find this quantum forge before Zorax's forces do, we need to fully commit to working with the Nexian dissidents, she told her officers. Humanity's future depends on trusting our supposed enemies. As the quantum whispers of ancient secrets grew louder, the true battle was becoming clear. It wasn't just for territory or technology, it was for the right to choose how two species would shape their shared future. And that future was approaching faster than anyone had imagined. Ambassador Kestrel Dawn stood in the ancient chamber beneath Mars' surface, her breath fogging in the cold air. The combined team of humans and Nexian dissidents had followed the quantum signatures to this location, hidden for millennia beneath the red planet's dust. The walls were covered in flowing script that seemed to shift between human and Nexian languages. "It's a message from the architects," Professor Winter announced, his instrument scanning the mysterious text. "But it's not just writing, it's coded into the quantum structure of the chamber itself." Dr. Frost worked alongside a Nexian quantum specialist, their technologies merging to decode the ancient message. As the translation emerged, silence fell over the chamber. "We are the architects," the message began, "and you are our greatest experiment. Two species, one purpose. In dividing our knowledge between you, we sought to create something greater than ourselves. Unity born of diversity. Power tempered by understanding." Commander Blackwood received the transmission from Mars while coordinating Earth's defense against Zorax's increasingly desperate attacks. The Nexian Supreme Commander had discovered their expedition to Mars and was directing his fleet toward the Red Planet. The prophecy was real, Voron explained through the quantum link, his Nexian features showing what humans had learned to recognize as concern. But Zorax and our leadership misinterpreted it. They believed it foretold the dominance of one species over the other. The truth is far more profound. In the chamber, Dr. Frost's instruments detected a new quantum signature emerging from the walls. "The forge," he breathed. "It's not a device, it's knowledge." The architects encoded it into Mars itself, waiting for the moment when both species would be ready. But as the chamber began to resonate with quantum energy, Sentinel Steel's team detected incoming ships. "Zorax's fleet is entering Mars orbit," she reported. "They're charging weapons." The ground shook as the first shots hit the surface. Professor Winter's analysis of the chamber revealed a devastating truth. The quantum forges knowledge, it's unstable. If those shots continue, they could trigger a chain reaction through the quantum frequencies. It would destroy both our technologies, set both our species back centuries. Commander Blackwood made a decision. "Launch the quantum pulse," she ordered. The experimental weapon, developed from the combined research of human and Nexian scientists, was designed to temporarily disable quantum technology. It would leave both fleets powerless, but it was the only way to prevent catastrophe. The pulse rippled through space, and for a moment, every quantum-based system went dark. In that silence, Ambassador Dawn's voice carried through conventional radio to all ships, human and Nexian alike. "The architects didn't split their knowledge to weaken us," she declared. "They did it because true strength comes from overcoming division. Look around you, in the weeks since this conflict began, those of us who chose to work together have achieved more than centuries of separate development. We've proven their experiment successful." In the darkness of disabled quantum systems, Meredith Quinn's resistance network proved invaluable. Using primitive but reliable technologies, they maintained communication between allies on both sides. The message spread, the prophecy spoke not of conquest, but of convergence. Zorax's response came as a surprise to all. "Show me," he demanded, his ship taking position above the chamber. "Show me this truth you claim to have found." As quantum systems slowly reactivated, Dr. Frost and his Nexian counterpart made a final breakthrough. The chamber's message wasn't just history, it was a blueprint. A plan for how two different species could share power and knowledge without losing their unique identities. The architects weren't gods, Professor Winter realized, studying the biological data. They were scientists who saw potential in both our species. Potential not just to use their technology, but to improve upon it. Together. The hidden truth revealed a destiny neither species had imagined, not conquest, not submission, but true collaboration. As Zorax's ship landed near the chamber, Commander Blackwood gave an order she never thought she'd give: stand down weapons. Let him see for himself. The future of both species hung in the balance as Zorax entered the chamber. The hidden truth was about to be fully revealed, and with it, the real purpose of humanity's long isolation and the Nexians' troubled empire. The architect's experiment was reaching its conclusion, but its final outcome still remained to be determined. Supreme Commander Zorax stood motionless in the architect's chamber, his living metal armor reflecting the quantum energies that pulsed through the ancient walls. For the first time in his centuries of leadership, uncertainty showed in his crystalline eyes. All this time, he said, his voice carrying the weight of revelation, we thought we were following the architect's will by seeking dominance. But we were fighting against their greatest gift. Dr. Frost and Professor Winter worked rapidly to stabilize the quantum frequencies that threatened to tear the chamber apart. Their Nexian counterparts moved in perfect synchronization, the two species' technologies finally working in harmony. The Forge isn't just about combining our quantum technologies, Dr. Frost explained, his hands dancing through holographic displays. It's about proving we can create something new together. The architects weren't our creators, they were our teachers. Commander Blackwood and Voron coordinated their forces in orbit, maintaining a defensive screen around Mars as the ancient chamber's energies grew stronger. The combined fleet hung in space, a testament to how much had changed in so short a time. Look at what we've achieved in weeks of cooperation, Ambassador Dawn addressed the assembled leaders of both species. Our shared quantum technology has already advanced beyond what either of us had alone. Imagine what we could do with years. Centuries. In the chamber's depths, Meredith Quinn discovered something that changed everything. Working with a team of human and Nexian engineers, she uncovered a quantum simulation, a demonstration of possible futures the architects had calculated. They ran the numbers, she reported, her voice filled with awe. They showed that two species working in isolation would eventually destroy themselves. But two species that learned to cooperate, to combine their strengths while preserving their differences, would achieve things we can barely imagine, Professor Winter finished, studying the biological data. The changes we've observed in both our species, they're not just convergence. They're optimization. We're becoming better versions of ourselves through cooperation. Sentinel Steel's team secured the perimeter as more ships arrived, not to fight, but to witness. The quantum forge's energy had stabilized, and its true purpose became clear. It wasn't a weapon or a tool, but a proof of concept. A demonstration that the architect's experiment had succeeded. Zorax turned to face Commander Blackwood, his imposing figure silhouetted against the chamber's glowing walls. I have led my people for 3 centuries, he said. In all that time, I believed strength came from unity through conformity. I was wrong. True strength comes from unity through diversity. The quantum forge's energy reached its peak, and in that moment, both species received the architect's final gift, not domination over the other, but a path forward together. The combined quantum technologies created a network that spanned both fleets, both worlds, linking their civilizations not in conquest but in collaboration. The prophecy wasn't about an ending, Ambassador Dawn realized. It was about a beginning. As the ancient chamber's energies stabilized, Dr. Frost made one final discovery. The architects left more out there, he announced. More experiments, more species, more pieces of their legacy. They wanted us to find them together, to help them as we've helped each other. The war that had begun with an invasion ended with an invitation. Two species, once divided by fear and ambition, now stood ready to explore the galaxy as equals. The quantum forge's power flowed through their combined technologies, not erasing their differences but enhancing them. Commander Blackwood watched from the Resilience Bridge as the combined fleet assembled, human and Nexian ships flying in formation. "Send the message to Earth," she ordered. "The war is over. The real work begins now." In cities across Earth, humans and Nexians emerged from the shadows of conflict into the light of cooperation. Meredith's resistance networks transformed into cultural exchange centers. Professor Winter and his Nexian colleagues began mapping the biological changes that would shape both species' futures. Dr. Frost and his team prepared to explore the new frontiers of quantum science. Ambassador Dawn stood with Zorax and Voron in the chamber one last time, watching as the ancient quantum energies settled into a steady pulse. "The architects didn't want us to become like them," she said. "They wanted us to become something new. Something better." The chamber's final message played across its walls, a quantum echo that would resonate through generations: "You have proven yourselves worthy of each other. The galaxy awaits. Go forward not as conquerors or subjects, but as equals. Your greatest achievements lie not in your past, but in your shared tomorrow." As the sun set on Mars, two civilizations began the complex work of building that tomorrow. The silent storm had passed, leaving behind not destruction, but possibility. The quantum whispers of ancient wisdom had become a chorus of hope, echoing across the stars toward a future neither species could have imagined alone. The architect's experiment was complete. The real journey was just beginning.